light to all art historians, museum professionals, archaeologists, heritage specialists, young researchers, and large circle of friends and Indian scholars of all ages. Now I would like to take you to a short review of manuscript tradition, Indian manuscript tradition. Indian manuscript tradition has a long and rich heritage, all of us know. Whenever you go to any museum, you will find at least one or two folios of the manuscript, and sometimes they are illustrated, sometimes non-illustrated. So we have religious texts as the manuscript, texts and kavyas we find as manuscript. Then inscriptions also are considered as manuscript under manuscript tradition, and illustrated manuscript. That is what we are looking in detail. The religious texts are like early Buddhist Pitaka texts. Most of them are in Pali language. So those three Pitakas like Vinaya Pitaka, Dhamma Pitaka and Satta Pitaka, they were earlier in the palm leaf written, and later they were also illustrated. Vedic texts were all in oral tradition. They were called as Shruti and Smruti, and they were also the manuscript. When they become tradition, they are in the language of Sanskrit. The script came much later because Vedic tradition was always in oral form or oral tradition. The script much later, it has come into the form of Samhita texts. We also have Jaina texts like Jainagama, Adipurana, Kalpasutra, Ajitagama, Trishati, Shalaka, Purusha, Charita, and most of them are in Prakrit. So you see all the three languages, Pali, Sanskrit and the Prakrit. So we also have in India tradition of encyclopedia. So in that group we have Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, that was attributed to 4th century AD, having hundreds of chapters on all aspects of human life, animal life, and even water bodies. Everything has been dealt there. It is both scientific, religious, social and secular encyclopedia of India, first encyclopedia. Then we also have Brihad Samhita of Varahamihira. It's a scientific, if at all you want to know what is Indian science, ancient Indian science, it is Brihad Samhita which gives us entire understanding. Then we also have in the medieval times, that is in the 12th century, Manasollasa or Abhilashitartha Chintamani by Emperor Someshwar. And this also has 100 chapters on various arts, trade, commerce, language, life of king and life of common man, Rajaniti. Many subjects have been dealt in this Manasollasa. It is in Sanskrit and it is in the palm leaf manuscript. Then Shivatattva Ratnakara is much later, 18th century, Basava Bhupala of Keladi, who has again compiled the chapters and created another encyclopedia. So this is a very important, throughout India. These 4 encyclopedic work you can refer, and it is reference sources. Then the early texts on art. Even before that we have Kautilya's Arthashastra. So you have a copy, a manuscript available in Mysore Oriental Library, the Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then later you find in the 2nd to 4th century we place Natyashastra of Bharata, Burhadeshi of Matanga, They are all very important texts as far as the Indian art and culture is concerned. Apart from that, many texts were written through the centuries on Shilpa, Chitra, Vastu, Sangeeta, Nritya, all these subjects. So, the customary practice of issuing inscriptions. So, we have seen the religious texts, the other texts, and the Kavya literature, those things. Apart from that, the third one, we have the inscriptions, issuing the inscriptions. Inscriptions or epigraphs are interesting. And they are not only interesting, they are the valuable historical records. And if you just, can you count how many number of epigraphs you have in India? It is countless. So from very early period, from BC, from various languages, we find up to 18th century. Maybe from after 17th, it has been written on paper. Before that, there are other materials used for writing or issuing the official grants known as inscriptions. So the first record is Sermons of Emperor Ashoka, was inscribed on rocks known as rock edicts and pillar edicts. And the language that you find is the Pali script. You'll be surprised to see that Ashoka's epithet, Devanam Priya, where you will find this particular term. You don't find in all those 13 rock edicts or 7 pillar edicts of Ashoka, but you find it at Maski in Karnataka. So you find the name of Devanam Priya, epithet of Ashoka, in an inscription at Maski in Karnataka. Later inscriptions were in Sanskrit. So early inscriptions were in Pali, Kharoshthi and so many other languages. So later you find inscriptions were in Sanskrit and they were on rock, pillar, slab, copper plate. These are the material used for giving the prashasti, or it was known as Shasana. The famous, they were also known as prashasti, as I said. So there is Gautami Putra Shatakarni, the Shatavahana emperor at Nasik cave. You find an inscription, it is known as Prashasti. Also there is Allahabad pillar inscription, that is also Prashasti of Samudragupta. And there is Aihole Prashasti of Pulakeshi II, Chalukya, at Meguti Jaina temple, Aihole. And even there are many more Shasanas and Prashastis we find, which are the historical records for studying the entire history, art and culture. So the inscriptions, then comes regional languages began to develop in India. So you find the regional language inscriptions. You find Assam language inscription or Kannada language or Tamil language. So in this you find in the beginning the script was Sanskrit, but the language was in regional. So you find such inscriptions also. Later, script also in the regional language and the language also, the content also in the regional languages. So that is the development of customary practice of issuing inscriptions. So now we come to illustrated manuscript tradition. So as I mentioned earlier, there are Buddhist texts and Jaina texts which were first illustrated. So in the Buddhist texts, Prajnaparamita from the eastern India was one of the great, manuscript illustrated. You find most of the folios in British Museum even today. We have 2-3 folios in National Museum, and we don't find in other places in India. Jaina texts, it is fortunate that Jaina, you find them in the collections of Bhandaras, Jaina Bastis. Jaina libraries. You find in the Rajasthan and in Karnataka also. So you find Kalpasutra, Kalkacharya Katha, Chora Panchashika, Adi Purana, Mahapurana, some of the local legends. You find all of them in the Western India and the collections of Jaina Pandit. Dhavala is a manuscript text which is illustrated, known as Jayadhavala, Mahadhavala. It is from Karnataka. In Mughal period also you find Babar Nama, Akbar Nama, Jahangir Nama, Shahjahan Nama, Hamza Nama, Razman Nama. These are all the various biographies which has been described. Then there are fields of paintings you find Rajasthani, Deccani, Pahadi, Mughal, Assam, and they are all you find the texts are illustrated. In some of these paintings, they look like paintings, but you will also find the texts on these paintings. That is why they are known as manuscript. They are categorized as manuscript paintings. So the texts like Gita Govinda, Rasika Priya, Rasamanjari, Ragamala, Baramasa, Ramayana, Bhagavata, Devi Mahatmya, Mahabharata, Shiva Purana, these are all the texts which are beautifully illustrated. You have to go and see in various museums the collection of these folios, painted folios. And once come, we have Anadipatan, Ramayana, Sundarakanda, Shamantaharana, Bhagavata. These were all illustrated in Assam. So just I'll go quickly. This is the replica of Girnar rock edict of Ashoka, which is in Brahmi script. You find at the entrance of National Museum, Delhi. It is not original, it is a replica. So this is an inscription. Similarly, you have in Ittagi Mahadeva temple in Karnataka, the temple is known as Devalaya Chakravarti. And there will be a slab. Look at the slab. This is the slab. And the script in Kannada, but the language is in Sanskrit. So this is the development you find. And this is an inscription you find in National Museum campus. And this is the Kannada script, and the language is also Kannada. Then we come with the various manuscript. This is the palm leaf early manuscript, and you find special libraries. You have to go for the sources. So these are some of the Hindu scriptures from Bali, Indonesia, and these are from the Christian prayers in Kannada language. You find on top. Please keep silent. More silent. So this is an interesting manuscript in gold sheet. This is a Mahayana text. Colombo Museum. It was found at Jetavana Monastery area, Anuradhapura. So it belongs to 9th century CE. Now we come to the illustrated folios of Buddhist manuscript. This is Prajna Paramita, I had mentioned to you. And this belongs to Pala style of painting, and this is from National Museum. These folios are from National Museum. And these are the Jaina texts, Kalpasutra, Jaina style. It's on handmade paper. By now, you know, they started using handmade paper. And the text in this is Kalpasutra, and this is another text, that is Kalkacharya Katha. What I want you to observe here is the way the pattern and the layout, how they have made it, and how they are treating the subject, and how the borders are kept in an interesting way. And in some other texts, they have a different motif inserted in between. So like that, you know, each style, that is why when we study in detail, we said Kalpasutra style or Kalkacharya Katha style. So each text has its own style of presentation. This is a manuscript from Jain Bhandar collections, Jaisalmer. When I visited Jaisalmer, I had photographed this. It's very difficult to get the permission from the Jain monastery, but fortunately I got the permission. And you see, it has a different way of putting things. It is coming like the vertical way of putting the script, and more importance is given to the painting, to the figurative painting. And this is a Rajasthani Jain manuscript tradition. They have used the painting in the center, and three places or three division unit they have made it for writing script. And this is Jain Dhawada paintings, as I mentioned, from Karnataka. It is in Mudbidre Jain Basadi. So this is the carrier of the Jain manuscript. You can see that the goddess, Jain goddess, that is Yakshi, either Padmavati or the Jwalamalini or Chakreshwari, they are depicted on the carrier. And here you can see one of the Tirthankaras are presented, and some of the geometrical calculation and other things, the monastery, the plan of the monastery and other things are also mentioned here. Now we come to the Mughal period. You find the folios from Baburnama, and these are from National Museum. Look at the way we have to search where is the manuscript. In a small, area, they have given the manuscript here. But most of the things are painted, so they are illustrated. And this is one of the very interesting and folios from Baburnama. It's a huge size Baburnama. I don't know how many of you have seen them, original ones. It's a huge size. You find most of them in the collections of Victoria and Albert Museum, London. And when we come to Orissa, you have the Geet Govinda illustrated, and this is one of the Orissa Geet Govinda. You find a series of paintings, folios from National Museum. This is another series of Geet Govinda Kangra from National Museum, and here you find, when you turn the painting behind, you find the verses related to this particular sequence or the situation. That is how the manuscript is written here. So when you see some of the very interesting Nayikas, you see how much of space is used for writing purpose. All the features, characteristics, and the situation for writing purpose. All the features, characteristics, and the situation, why the Nayika is in a separated mood. All these descriptions we find in this manuscript. So this is from Malwa, a manuscript and miniature both. So this is another Rasika Priya folio from National Museum. You find the writing is here. They give importance to painting also. So much of area, they have divided them into three registers, and they have created the painting also. So equally importance is given. This is another Rasika Priya painting. Beautifully, this is displayed in the gallery. So this is Mewar Rajasthani School from National Museum. This is a series of Deccani miniature paintings. This also beautifully illustrated, but you have to search where is the script. So these are here you find the features of the raga. Sri Rakti is given here. Sometimes they give the Arohana and Avarohana and the scale of the swaras. So that means to say this is so useful to the musicians to understand the Ragamala concepts and the practice. And this is Deepak Raga, a male raga, and you must, I don't know how many of you know about this Ragamala paintings. You have ragas male ragas, then raginis, and then ragaputras you find there. So another Rasamanjari of Bhanadatta, there are in different regions, this particular text has been illustrated, and this comes from Maharashtra. So that is why you see that the women are dressed as Maharashtrian. So these are all helpful for, in so many ways we can study the miniature paintings. So now we come maybe 2-3 slides. So it is a illustrated manuscript painting from Karnataka. This was attributed to Krishnaraja Vadayar III, who was the great ruler of Karnataka, who was the patron of art and literature, and they are like large size folios. I have seen large size folios, one the Akbarnama and the second is Sri Tattva. Only these two. We don't find such large size paintings illustrated and the text is written in such a way. Only these two examples we have. So this is 9 parts are there in Sri Tattva. Among them, this is the Shakti Nidhi. I am showing you about the Shakti Nidhi, and this is dedicated to Chamundeshwari, who was the tutelary deity of Mysore royal family even now. So these are the inner pages. You can see the text in Kannada, script in Kannada, but the language in Sanskrit. A Sanskrit text has been illustrated here. With, look at the way the painting, they are so fresh even today. If you see these paintings, you feel that it must have just painted yesterday. Such a good color, no mixing, treatment is so good, and art historically this is one of the best paintings for the study. So this is the Mahakali, and it has been represented. So look at the way how these paintings are done of the Devi. So this is from the Shodasha Kalpa, a text. So these are all Chaturapitheshwaris, and they have given each one of them the name, their characters, their features, and their role in not only the nether world but also in the human world. This is an interesting, in the same Shakti Nidhi. This is known as Akshara Devatas. So Siddhasha Bharata, in that Bharata Tantra it is given. So each, for example, so each alphabet has a Devata, and that Devata is given with all the features and the Vahanas that they drive. All those details you find, and you can see the entire detail is given in one of the square part. So nothing is missed there. So this is one Sri Chakra, Chakrabdha Krama, and you can, and below this his entire how to chant the entire chanting related to this chakra. It is given there. And very interestingly, there was a system of catalog. You see, this is the system of catalog. Today we talk in museum language. Catalog is so important. Look at their forethought. They had created a catalog of this. So it is an index which gives the details of all the weapons, attributes related to these devatas. Okay, so I have taken you to a review or a historical journey to understand the rich manuscript tradition of India. every region contributes for the manuscript tradition. If you feel that so many sculptures, architecture, paintings, or decorative arts, each region brings it in the same scale, you find in manuscript paintings also. So, illustrated manuscript painting tradition of Assam. Let us see, what is so special about Assam paintings. So, to trace back to the Satra cultural heritage, because the place where the bhajans or the offerings are done is known as Satras in Assam. So, the paintings that are created in these Satras are known as Satriya paintings. They are all attributed to the time of Bhakti movement, which has taken forward by Sriman Shankaradeva. He is a great reformer, artist, and Vaishnava. He took the Assam into Vaishnava tradition, almost engulfed. Assam was engulfed in this period in the Bhakti movement. So at that time, the epics of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, they were all chanted so regularly by the people, and they felt that it should be illustrated also. So illustration began. And so many episodes, because when you take Ramayana, there are hundreds of episodes. Mahabharata, Bhagavata, so rich. They are sources, and these episodes became the sources for manuscript tradition. So it is all Vaishnava texts. Most of the texts coming from Assam, they are Vaishnava texts. If you go to Bengal or Orissa, you find the Shakta texts. So Devi Mahatmya has been beautifully painted in most of these places. And you have seen Sri Shaktinidhi in the parts of Karnataka, how they are illustrated. So here it is Vaishnava texts and stories. You find the Bhakti literature, you find a number of texts created, and some of them are non-religious also, and they are all commissioned as manuscript. From 17th century to 1900, we find the movement of the paintings, Assam manuscript painting. So they are found in British Library, Assam State Museum, Kamarupa Anusandhana Samiti, Antiquarian Studies, major satras of Assam, still to explore. Not many are explored till today. And the Namgars, you find there. So let's trace out how the study on manuscript painting had started. So the early attempts to write on Assam paintings, it goes to the time of 1930. Hemchandra Goswami, he wrote a descriptive catalogue of Assamese manuscripts. He was not talking about the illustrated one, but general manuscript, Assamese manuscript. But S.K. Bulan wrote one short note on painting. This was the earliest publication on Assam paintings. Then in 1949, Harinarayana Datta Baru, he worked on Chitra Bhagavat. This is the complete text with good illustrations. It is one of the standard and beautiful texts known as Chitra Bhagavat. Then in 1972, this book, what you are seeing here, Eastern Indian Painting, first publication about Assam paintings. Internationally, it has been used. Some of the plates were used in this book, and also talks in detail about technique and materials. So for anybody even today to study about Eastern Indian paintings. This is the book. Everyone has to study. It's available even now. Then comes Hasti Vidyanam, another very interesting Assamese manuscript painting, whole book. In 1971, this publication board, Guwahati, published this. The subject is on elephantology. Hasti Vidyanama, the very title shows that it is related to Hasti, that is the elephants. So it talks about all kinds of elephants, categories, their role, their importance, some stories related to them, and finally how to take care of elephants, and if there are some diseases, how to treat the elephants. Such a valuable text and beautifully illustrated. It's not just a text but profusely illustrated of meritorious literature. So this was commissioned by Ahom king Shiva Singha. He was a great patron of art and literature, and his queen Ambika Devi in 17th century. At that time, the author who has written this Hasti Vidyanama was Sukumar Barkha, his name. And we also have the names of the artists, fortunately. That was Dilbar and Dosa. So total number of folios are 190. So where is it? It is housed in Department of Historical Antiquarian Studies in Guwahati, Assam. You can go and see that original of Hasti Vidyanama. Some of the paintings, I was able to show you. These are folios of paintings, and you can see the text is written related to that painting, what is illustrated. And since it is commissioned by the royal family, Ahom kings, you see the beautiful mansions, palaces, and the royal elephant. All this information and painting are also you can see. And this is, so look at the landscape. Artist has beautifully created the landscape where a lone elephant is going, and this is how the common house of Assam even today is. So these are very interesting observation that we have to see in the paintings, and particularly these paintings help us to understand the life of Assam in Ahom times. Now this is a painting most of you must have seen. It is Brahma Vaivarta Purana, one folio. It was commissioned by Purandara Singh and his queen in 1836. It's not available in Assam today. It is available in British Library, London. And this was published, this particular painting was published in Mark 36, volume 1 in 1982. And the person who published this and wrote a small note on this was Jerry Losty, a great lover of India, Indian painting, and he used the cover page of this painting in one of his books, Krishna, a Hindu Vision of God. See, when I got my fellowship at Victoria and Albert Museum, London, in 92, exactly 30 years, at this time, I was in London in 30 years ago. And Jerry Losty was a dear friend of all Indian scholars. He was in charge of the India office at Madhurima. And when I met him, he asked me, "Are you aware of Assam paintings?" Number one. Second, he asked me, "Do you know Dr. R.D. Chaudhary?" I had met Dr. R.D. Chaudhary in 1990. Just 1 or 2 years, once I had met him.
I said, I know him, I had met him. Do you know Assam paintings? I said, no, I have not seen them. So when I go this time, I will try to request Dr. Chaudhary to show me some of Assam paintings. And it is painful to say that Jerry last year, we lost him last year on 9th October, same time as Dr. Choodamani. So they were very great friends, Jerry Lasty and Dr. Choodamani. So then, Geet Govinda is another Assam school of painting. Dr. Kapila Vatsayanji called it as Assam School of Painting. Till then, it was not known in Delhi. It was not known taken it as the mainstream of Indian painting or Indian art. So she wrote, when in her fellowship she was working on Geet Govinda of various, manuscript, and she came to Guwahati and requested Dr. Chaudhary and Maheshwar Neu and worked with them, and she has seen all the collections of Geet Govinda. So that was in 1986. So she said that the Assamese manuscript paintings can safely be placed as an independent school in the tradition of Indian manuscript painting. Such a great art historian, Dr. Kapila Vatsayanji, gave the status of Assamese manuscript painting as one of the independent schools in the tradition of Indian manuscript painting. So it was in 1992, myself and Dr. Chaudhary, we met Dr. Kapila Vatsayanji in Delhi. So she discussed with us and she said, somehow we must take Assam paintings to the mainstream and people should study Assam manuscript painting. That was her, vision. And then we also felt, myself and Dr. Chaudhary, we felt that it is our responsibility now to work on this. So since I had just returned from my fellowship from Victoria and Albert Museum, I had learned the way of documentation because my subject was colonial influence on South Indian paintings. That was the project on which I was working. I was invited and I was awarded Nehru Fellowship for that. I was the first Indian to award this fellowship in 1992. So I started working how to document the paintings. I learned this technique, process, procedure and everything. So when I returned, Dr. Chaudhary came to Bangalore for some work. Then he said, you come to Guwahati and train my staff to document the paintings. And we have to be answerable to Dr. Kapila Vatsayanji. So then we started working on the collections of Assam Museum, that is Guwahati Museum. So this is the book which was published in 1998. This is the first book, first time the painted folios were subjected to systematic and scientific method of documentation. Till then, these paintings were not documented. They were only collected, put the accession number and other things and kept. So my intervention, I went there. Dr. Chaudhary officially invited to his museum. He was director at that time. And I was there for 10 days. And we all worked, the staff of that section. They were with me day and night. We all worked. Each folio by folio we studied and I'll show you those things. So this book, I don't know whether it is available now in museum. I just try to bring the attention of the museum heads. If it is not in print, please see that it is printed again, because it will be useful for all younger generation to know how to document, because they may come across with many texts, illustrated, still to be documented in various satras, not only museums, not only Kamarupa Anusandhan Samiti or other private collections. Satras are the rich sources for the paintings. So when they do the documentation, this book will help them as a guide. So if it is not available or the copies are over, please, if you invite me, I will come again and maybe review. We will do a review and then bring it in the form of, it's a small book. I don't claim that it's a big book, because the size of collection was that, and our intention was mainly documentation and put that to historical analysis, art historical analysis, so that Dr. Kapila Vatsan would accept that. That was our agenda. So after that, in 2001, another book came, that is Manuscript Painting from Kamarupa Anusandhan Samiti. When I was working in this only, they asked me whether I can work on the this collection also, but I was so busy at that time for other commitment. So Dr. Chaudhary requested Naren Kalita, who is a great scholar in the field of both literature and art and culture of Assam. He accepted, and Dr. Chaudhary and Naren Kalita both, they worked on that, and they followed the methodology of our first documentation. If you open that book and this book, you see that the process has been followed. So now, manuscript paintings of Assam were the Vaishnava texts, as I had mentioned, and most of them belong to Sriman Shankaradeva times, and they were used as means of communication during Bhakti movement. Why all these paintings were created? To communicate the common people through the paintings during the Bhakti movement, and they are also placed in the namgars of the satras. See, in most of the places we find in the temple or in the monastery, the sanctum will have some image and icon, it's worshipped 3 times a day, all those things are there. But in Namgar, in satras, you find the texts are placed and the texts are worshipped. All offerings are done for the texts. So this is the way how manuscripts were respected in Assam. Look at the culture. It's entirely different, and it is to be followed in other places, because manuscripts are not treated with that respect in most of the regions in our country. So we should learn from Assam how to respect the manuscript. So they are placed in the sanctum as Namgar and they are worshipped. So Chitra Bhagavat is the earliest manuscript painting, and you find that from the Bali Satra. See, these are all some of the satras. One is Majoli. Whenever you talk about Assam, people ask, have you visited Majoli Satra, which is in the island. It has such a great place, but also has, they were trying to make it as World Heritage Site, but still it has not been recognized. It has its own problems, grievances and all that. So this is Barpeta Satra, the Namgar, where I was when in one of my visits I was invited, and we had a very nice conference there in Barpet, and we all presented, and and it was great conference. So now we come to the Assam State Museum. Quickly I'll take you to all the, it's much of the visuals than talking. So in Assam State Museum we have 6 illustrated manuscripts, but they belong to different sub-traditions and styles. You don't find a common styles in all these manuscripts. Each one is entirely different from the other. From the stylistic perspective, from the symbolic perspective, from the art historical analysis, they are very different from one to another. So Ramayana, in Ramayana we don't have the entire Ramayana there, only Sundarakanda. Folios are connected to Sundarakanda. Then the second one we have Bhagavata. In Bhagavata it is Ashtamaskanda, Gajendra Moksha, and such episodes are given there. Shamantakamani Harana. This is a very interesting text. We have it's a small text. Small number of folios are less, but since it is probably patronized by the kings and all that, you find that kind of royal atmosphere in creating this painting. Anadipatan is Bhagavata Puran and Vamana Puran have been beautifully portrayed. I don't think anywhere in India Bhagavat Puran and Vamana Puran has been picturized or portrayed as folios as in Assam paintings. This is the best painting, best set of paintings I can say. You will see that and appreciate. Then fifth is Kirtan, where you find Chaturvinshati Avatar of Vishnu, that is 24 forms of Vishnu, has been explained, significance, symbolism, and the time and the role of each of the avatar has been discussed. And in Kirtan 2, it is the Dashavataras of Vishnu, 10 avatars has been discussed. So let us see one by one quickly. Ramayana Sundarakanda. So what is the material? See, this is the documentation system that I had introduced for each of the manuscript. The material is Sanchipa, folios 147 in number. The condition half burnt and damaged, unfortunately. So it has come from Jorhat and collected from the Museum of Jorhat. And in this book, that small book which I will show you when I come on the screen, we have published about 8 illustrations. See, we also identified the colors, that is red, olive green, off-white, black, yellow, etc. The same colors you may not find in other set of paintings, other theme. So that is why I said it's very interesting from stylistic and art historical perspective. So these are the Rakshasas approaching in their procession Sita, who is sitting under the tree, Ashoka. And here the Ramayana scene, Sundarakanda scene, where to hide his identity, Hanuman comes as the mongoose. You can see here. And he is looking at the Ravana's palace. So this is the interior of the palace is shown there. And you see the text has been, once the placement of painting is done, the text follows or flows around the painting. And beautiful calligraphy. Look at the calligraphy. They are very nicely written. So this one. And here Ravana is going with Mandodari and carrying many materials, gifts to Sita. So Mandodari is going with Ravana profile, the artist is confused whether it should be frontal or profile, but he has convincingly put that in a better way. And here, Mandodari, after returning to the palace, she is advising Ravana, what you are doing is not right. So that's it. So these are the three folios we have used in this. So here, Hanuman his fight with the soldiers of Ravana. You see, the devastation that has taken place, and elephant, and they are all running here and there. And then the monkey, Hanuman is in the form of monkey itself. He has not come in the human form in this particular text. So he is, convincing Sita about his identity and others. Look at the way how the entire thing is written here in the calligraphy. And this is Virupaksha, the son of one of the sons of Ravana, is trying to catch the monkey. That is, Hanuman is running. So this is one type of illustration. You see how beautifully the entire Ramayana is presented here. The second is Bhagavata, another set of the thing. And this is also Sanchipa. The material, Sanchi is a tree, and it is the bark of the tree, beautifully treated. It will be almost like, so thin but large in size. And we have in our collections in Assam State Museum, 57 folios are there. And condition of this text is very good. So it comes from the provenance of Kaliyapur, and we have illustrated 7 out of 57. So the colors used here, you see, they are different from the first one. So red, you see more of red as a background, and olive green is also taken into consideration, the dress and attire and all that. Now you see, I said there is the Gajendra Moksha is one episode, is very, in this collection, we have all the folios of Gajendra Moksha episode. Instead of crocodile, we have the Graha, that is the animal. It looks like fox or what kind of animal, it is difficult to know, but it is not a crocodile. So you see the Gajendra, it is trying to follow and pull its leg. And that is what happens. As you all know the story, I don't want to go into the detail. Now here you see that Gajendra is showing, praying to Vishnu, and Vishnu is coming down to help Gajendra. So this is Vishnu in his Vaikuntha. So look at the artist's imagination and visualization. And even the pond has been illustrated colorfully in so many ways. And wherever the place is available, they have used for the illustration, the text purpose. So this is one. And the next is Shamantaka Harana, Shamantakamani Harana, or Shamanta Harana, is in the Sanchipa. Sanchipa, again as I said, it is the bark of the swan. So 58 folios are there. Its condition is very good, and provenance is Hajur. And we have illustrated 9 in number, and colors that has blue and green are more in color, because Krishna is the main theme, and they have used it. But they have used the black as the background for the writing purpose. That is why, it looks very clear for the study. So this is Satyajit coming, and Shamantaka, she is holding Jambavati, and Krishna is trying to pacify her take it. You know the story. So this is how Krishna tries to snatch, but finally she succumbed to him, but Jambavanta comes and fights Krishna. So this, you see, the black color continues and blue is mainly used, and the architecture also interesting, and other paraphernalia are so interestingly placed, and even today you find them in use in Assam. So this is the last of the Shamantakarna. So she is given in marriage to Krishna, and the money is also given to him. And Jambavanta is there. And after that, even Satyabhama, Satyajit, he understands his mistake and takes Satyabhama. And you see, it looks like, beautiful palace, sea. And this is particularly where you find in the center, the hole is there. That is also beautifully motive has been introduced. Through that hole, a thread is passed or a cord is passed to tie the manuscript. So this is what I was telling, Anadipatan. This is painted on handmade cotton, which is known as Tulab. It also 49 in number. It is very well preserved, the best preserved in condition. And this is taken from Fuji Satra. And we have illustrated 18 number, and these are the colors. You see, so beautifully. And the movement of the lines and colors, it is very interesting. Main importance is given to painting, and very, very thin lines they have used for the making purpose. Now this is wonderful painting. I think if you look at it, you don't find that this is a manuscript painting. It looks like a full-fledged piece. It is a Surya in his chariot. I have used this painting in my chariot book. So this is Surya is going in the chariot, and around him you find the Navagrahas. Down you see the Ketu, Rahu and Ketu. The head is cut and there are two separate Rahu Ketus. And also all the other Navagrahas and Rashis are given. Very, very illustration is so beautiful, and they have used all these, curvilinear lines and to make that as the prominent ones. So even the figuratives are properly and beautifully treated compared to other manuscript. Yeah. So this is the Raudra Tandava of Shiva, causing destruction. You can see the elephant, people, humans, they are all, and again the way, these lines make it the prominence of the painting. So Shiva in his Samhara Tandava, he is known as Samhara Tandava Murti. So one of the very, very interesting illustration. And this one is, I think, the best painting one can say. So this is Ananta and other divinities. In 9 frames, you start counting from here to here till the end. There are 9 lokas, including the last one, Patala Loka, where you find the tortoise and Mahavishnu is sitting there. Now, this is a very interesting painting. When you look at this, you feel that this must be an abstract painting, contemporary painting, not 17th century or 18th century one. So this is the deluge, Mahapralaya. The entire earth is almost, underwater. So the universe is submerged in the text of Anadipatan. So they have not disturbed the painting anyway. They have used the text only on the top of the text. this also looks like an abstract painting. Look at the treatment of the waves of the water. Artist, how beautifully he has used that space. And he is giving the shelter, Aadyashree, to the tortoise after the deluge. And this on the top register to find the text, that's all. So it looks like an independent painting. So these are some of the pictorial narration of Panchamahabhutas, presiding gods of all the natural forms, tanmatras, and all the other, they are in the divinities, form of divinities, and look at their attire and so beautifully, very clearly, and crisp in the features and everything you find. These artists are experts in handling the colors, the figuratives, the abstract, and the subject, the treatment. Now we come to the last one, Kirtan. So in this Chaturvamshati avatar, as I said, 24 forms of Vishnu. This detail is given. Sanchipat, only 6 in number, so that means to say it is incomplete text. It has come from Goda and well preserved. So here you see the more of black, use of black in this particular painting. But a very good designer and artist has created this. And here you see that the Mahavishnu and Kachapa and Hayagriva, Vishnu in Hayagriva form, because Hayagriva is very popular in the Vaishnava tradition in South India. But here, again in Assam, it is such an important form of Vishnu worship. And this is very interesting, Yamayatana. So Narakayatana, that is depicted. So you must have a pious life, otherwise what will happen to you? So these are some of the illustrations very nicely shown. And this is the last Kirtana 2 of the avatars of Vishnu. And the last one is the Raslila. It looks like a folk tradition. Artist must have come from a interior satra or folk artist. But the subject is of Vishnu's, avatar. So with all this, we feel that Assam State Museum has got, it's a great source for sculptures, paintings, decorative arts, textiles, archaeological material, for everything. There are opportunities and avenues for youngsters to take section by section and study in detail, document it. See, documentation itself is a great scientific understanding of a material, whether it is in the field, or it is in the museum, or it may be intangible tradition, or it can be dance. Documentation is what is very important. We are very good in presentation. We are very good in creating, but we are not so good in documentation. That is where we miss the bus. So, youngsters, if at all we have in the group, take the documentation. It's a serious, it's your responsibility to do a proper documentation of whatever you take as popular style. So I thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I acknowledge the Aadyashree members, Assam State Museum, Guwahati, Dr. Aadyashree, who has given me opportunity, freedom to handle all the material in while he was in director in Assam Museum and later Director General in National Museum. We worked with him there also. And I also respect the staff of documentation department in Assam Museum. They were all young at that time, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Meenu Kejriwal, art historian, who has lent her. She did a small project about 3 years back, and she has seen all original paintings and taken the pictures of Anadipatan and other texts, and she shared her photographs with me. So they are all original, photographs, not from the book. So I think I have taken a lot of your time, but the subject is like that. It will take you in that way. Thank you all for your patience, each and every one.
Thank you, Professor Choodamani Nandagopal. We were all captivated. These were very beautiful illustrated paintings. But the only thing is, you need intense study. You need time to understand all this. There has been a lot of work that has been put into the conception and execution of these illustrated paintings. It's a historical paradise that you have, presented today. And I think in Assam, what we feel right now is whether it's manuscript painting or manuscript writing, all the things are abandoned. You will still find, if you move around and you move in the satras, you will still find these folios being strewn all over. So, it's how much importance is that you're giving to your heritage. Heritage that was created by these great people at one point of time, whether it was the patronage of the rulers or the local artists who were there. All that is there, and I also feel I thought of opening up this session for questions, if some have one or two very quick questions, because that will be very meaningful if somebody has something just running on your mind that you would just like to put forth with. So can we just one or two questions on this, the Assam part, because ma'am has given us a pan-Indian, she took us to a pan-Indian tour. She has shown us, starting from all over India and then ending up in Assam. So if you have something very specific to what she spoke, we can have, at least we can entertain one or two questions.
My friend Deepika has raised her hand, I think.
Yes. Yes, Deepika, you can start the question. You can put your question. Deepika, you have to just unmute your microphone. Deepika Kohli, you have to unmute your microphone.
She's not able to do it.
Maybe she doesn't realize that the microphone is. Deepika, we are talking to you. You should unmute. Otherwise, can we have the second question? Can we have the next question by the time Deepika realizes that the microphone is not on? Yes, Indrajit Bhattacharya. Yes,
Hello ma'am, good evening. First of all, many congratulations for such a wonderful informative session. I have just one question. The Assamese scripts which has been used in these manuscripts, is it the same which is being used currently, or is it of some ancient origin?
I think they have some ancient script also. When you come to around 1900, the later ones, there you find the common, what we are having today. Otherwise, you can categorize them as the ancients.
Okay ma'am, thank you ma'am.
We will not have, and Deepika has still not realized. So, any more questions? Ma'am, it's a question.
Yeah, there is one question.
Ma'am, can I ask one question?
Yes, yes, please.
Ma'am, regarding documentation, I would like to ask one question. During the documentation, will it be important? Can you add the dimension of the manuscript and the types of natural colors which has been used of that specific manuscript? For example, Hati Park, then Tuli Park, and different handmade papers. Because after like another 50 years or 100 years, there will be a very less use of natural colors during that period of time. And back 400-500 years back, there were specific colors which was used from flora and different minerals, which might be not even available after 100 years.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to. You have to mention all possible things that you could collect and analyze. Documentation doesn't stop at only collecting. It continues. That is where we call it as research and documentation. Both.
Thank you, ma'am.
If you document, you can't do research. So first step is to document. Then the analysis will start. And analysis also, you have to go into the detailed analysis. You should not compromise with anything while doing the detailed analysis. I think I had forgotten to put 1 or 2 pages from the book, what was the way that we have used each and every, in this book. See, I just show you cataloging, how we did the cataloging. You can see this way.
Yes, ma'am.
So this
Okay,
is the,
in a very precise,
yeah.
detailed manner.
Yes, yes. So you won't miss anything. That is the importance of
Yes,
document. So this is a small book, like I said. Let's look at the size of the book. It is also like a painting.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the paintings are this size of. That is why we selected the size of the book is this. And I don't know whether you have seen Hasti Vidyanava.
Yes, ma'am. I have Hasti Vidyanava.
Yeah.
I have read the whole manuscript, and I even cross-checked the original manuscript in Assam archive.
Oh.
But there also it is not recommended or written what sort of natural colors is been used during that period of time.
Yeah, you have to do research for that. So this was also presented to me by.
Yes, ma'am. Because
Yes.
during conservation, it would be really difficult for
Yes.
conservators to reuse the paints for the conservation.
Yes.
I suppose.
I know. So this is another very
Thank you, ma'am.
treasure. I have kept it as a treasure.
Yes.
Tanvi Goswami, can we very fast? Can you have your Tanvi Goswami has raised her hand, and I think this is the last question. We are running short of time. Yes.
Namaskar, ma'am. It's a very wonderful session and informative. So, my question is that, as you mentioned, that Assamese manuscript, the illustration or paintings of his manuscript is used as a mode of interaction or something like working movements. So, what are the means? I want to say that in other parts of our country, how manuscripts are used, like as a mode of interaction or only to preserve their history or kingdom's history, like that?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
It was used for both the purposes. Wherever the religious, some of the philosophy and other things to be reached, then they have used it as a communication. And sometimes even paintings were given as dowry to daughters. When they send the daughters, they used to give a set of paintings. See, look at the taste of the people.
Yeah.
So that is also there. So various purposes they were using these paintings.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
I I think it's time now that we say a big thank you to Professor Choodamani Nandagopal, and I will hand over to Shubhra, Dr. Shubhra.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Aadyashree and Assam State Museum, under the Directorate of Museums, Government of Assam, I would like to thank Dr. Choodamani Nandagopal madam for agreeing to deliver this lecture today in spite of her very busy schedule. It's a very fascinating and very captivating session, ma'am. Thank you for being with us today. We are immensely grateful to you. We are thankful to Dr. Madhurima Goswami madam for moderating the session very smoothly and also for keeping the time schedule. Aadyashree is thankful to the Director of Museums, Government of Assam, especially Y.S. Wanglanton, Directorate of Museums, Assam, Ms. Srimati Snigdha Hanchi madam, Curator in Charge, Assam State Museum, and Loli Hazarika, Guide Lecturer, Assam State Museum, for collaborating with us. We are grateful to our technical team led by Abhijit Vaishya, without whom it would not have been possible for a smooth running of the event. Last but not the least, we are thankful to all the audiences who joined us today and make the event a success. I want to specially mention Anarika Pathak ma'am, Sonaram Saud ma'am, and all the staffs of Assam State Museum, and Sanjeev Kumar Singh sir, Sarvamangala Di, who have joined briefly, and Vijay Mathu sir, who were also joined briefly. And these are very important and very famous names in the field of art history, and we are very delighted to have you all with us today. Thank you for also to Deepika madam to join for this session in spite of her busy schedule, who is the Director of Archaeology, Department of Archaeology, Government of Assam. And this is an encouraging moment for us, and thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.